There is this guy named Charles Darwin. He sailed around on a ship called the HMS Beagle, and while he was sailing around, he noticed that there was a very large diversity of species. So diversity means like a lot of differences, a big variety. He also noticed there was a lot of fossils that looked similar to things that are living today, but they weren't the same exact thing. So he wanted to know what that meant. He ended up at the Galapagos Islands, and at those islands, he discovered two different species he really studied: finches, which are a type of bird, and tortoises. So with the finches, he noticed that the finches had different beak shapes. And he was like, I wonder why they have different beak shapes. He realized that because depending on what part of the island the finch lived in, there was different sources of food. So those beaks developed over time into a certain shape that helped them better survive and eat that certain type of food. Same thing for the tortoises. So there was a dome-shaped shell, and there was a saddle-shaped shell. The dome-shaped shell was for low vegetation, so lower to the ground. And the saddle-shaped shell, that's a tongue twister. The saddle-shaped shell, there were higher vegetation. So Darwin decided these were called adaptations. So an adaptation is something, a genetic difference that over time will help a species survive and reproduce. So these adaptations were beneficial to help these animals live in their environment. He proposed this hypothesis that, hey, you know what? Things change over time. Animals, species, humans, we're all not going to be the same as we were a long, long time ago. Over time, things do change and they evolve. New species can be formed when a group gets isolated. So let's pretend that the one part of the island was cut off and nobody could get to it. So a new species of finch would probably evolve because they're not interacting in any of the other parts of the island with any of the other animals. So they have to survive with what they're given in that location. So isolation does cause new species to form over time as well.